Hello and welcome. This is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. This channel evaluates all aspects of true crime. As you are aware, videos and live streams in this genre often discuss elements of crime that may be disturbing to some viewers. If necessary, take the precautions needed to avoid these feelings. Factual information related to cases is the key to fostering rational true crime discussions. Fortunately, you will find that here. Please hit the like button only once, share the video, and subscribe if you like my content. Thank you very much for watching. Hello, freakazoids. What's going on? Yeah, we had a 22-point lead with 10 minutes to go and barely won. I mean, it was like they got it to 1 point, then we made 2 free throws, and they got it to 1 again, then 2 free throws, and then it was crazy. Yeah, I guess this will be sort of like an old school type of show. We used to, I remember like the first 3 years I was always doing shows at like 9 o'clock. Plus we'll be discussing, I think it's be pretty interesting, this other cold case. But I also, what was it, low? Testing one? Oh, sorry. Yeah. Let's see. Wow. That's what happens when you use that. It had StreamYard had it down to 27. That's crazy. Nope, now you can hear it, right? It's almost too loud now. No, I don't do TikTok live. Why? All right. Well, anyways, I did the. I got a FOIA request for the Idaho State Police, not Moscow Police Department, because I saw in one of the documents that there was a crime scene sketch, right? So now we get to see, yeah, it's stick figures, so it's not the greatest thing in the world. All right. So there's the King Road residence. And they even marked down outside where the cars were parked. And right here it says, Detective Hugh Powell of Idaho State Police on 11/13/2022. So that's the day of. And then right here, 11/13/2022, Detective Hugh Powell, he says it again. And then this is the first floor. And as we know, Bethany Funk's room's over here. This is the sort of storage unit that they had where, I mean, it was a room, but nobody lived in there, so they kept stuff in there. And I guess Madison Mogan used it as an office. And then there's a bathroom down there. And then they had a door to I don't know, mechanical room, I guess. And then right over here is Bethany Funk's room. And then these are the stairs that go up. So from, my 3D model, you would see, right now we're Right behind us is the utility room. There's the bathroom on the right, then the mechanical room, I guess, on the right, and then here's Bethany Funk's room, and then there is the storage unit right there, and then these are those stairs that go up. And then we go down, go to the next floor here. Now it seems like they put stuff in here that's like measurements. Hey, welcome Lexi444 and Christina YK8FL. Thank you. Alright, so those are the stairs that go up, and then, you know, it's interesting how they mark things, but I think what we should do is turn it around like this. This is kind of how we always pictured the room. And so when you go up the stairs, you come around, there's the, there was a table right here. And then, so I guess what they have is, Xana Kernodle's head was over to the right. I kind of had it to the left because I, you know, never saw an actual picture of it. So now I've moved it. So she's kind of more like that. He was correct. I had him good on there. But like that's how she was laying on the ground. Something similar. As you can see right here. God, this is stupid. What is this thing down here? Now you can see right over here on the right. So she's on the floor with her, and that's that little dresser, I think. So her head apparently is kind of near that. And that matches what I was saying. Remember I told you guys that I think the sound that you hear, that loud thud sound, is actually Xana Kernodle hitting the nightstand. And that's why it's crooked and her blood is on that thing. What are you talking about? It was self-inflicted. Who are you talking to? Now, can we just have a normal night here without crazy people? Just one night. Okay, without nut jobs showing up. That would be amazing. Yeah. All right, anyways, so you can see they have Ethan Chapin laying on the bed and his head's off the edge, and that's exactly how I tried to put them how I thought that they were. Okay, so I'm going to flip it back around so I can read some of this stuff. So in the room, it seems like they use like the corner of the room, like, you know, RP number 2, and then RP number 1 over here, and then they talk about RP is number 1 is 10 feet 8 inches to the female's head. So if you're measuring from right there, it's 10 feet 1 inches. You know, so I mean, I could actually try to do something like that. Maybe I'll do that later. And then RP number 2 is 12 feet 11 inches from her head. So that means you would measure it from over there, and then it's a little bit longer to get to her head over here. And then it looks like, and that, I guess I was to the head up here, 10 feet 8 and then 12 feet. And then to her right foot, it's 9 feet 2 inches, 9 feet 2 inches from each spot, which is kind of weird. I'm exactly the same. And it looks like now they're moving to the male here, maybe. His right foot is 11 foot 6 from RP1, and then only 5 feet 6 from 2. That makes sense, right? Here's 2, and his foot's over there, so it's really close. But from over there to his right foot, it's a lot further. It makes all the sense in the world, Almighty Piety. I just don't have time for you tonight, okay? Come back another night when your brain works. I don't want to do it, okay? I don't want to waste my time. Or maybe come back in a half hour, see if it works. I just don't want to do it. Okay. All right, so we've got that. You know, so now we know that she was kind of angled like that, and you know, other than that, it's basically the same layout that I have. And then you go up the stairs right here. These are the stairs, and then at the top of the stairs, you go down here. You turn to the right. Yeah, it all makes complete sense, you guys. We've gone over this a million times. I've shown it 1,000 times on you know. So you go down into Xana's room, come out, you turn right. That's where Bill Mortensen's room is. That's her there. Then you go up the stairs, and then you go to the top of the stairs, and this is Kaylee Gonzalez's room. And then right here is Madison Mogan's room. Now, Kaylee is also in here too. I just haven't put her exactly where she was yet. Right. So there's the bed there, and up here it shows that they're both on the bed, and they have Kaylee kind of at an angle a little bit. Like her feet are closer to the edge of the bed, and then her head like that, and then Madison Mogan, but I remember they said that her left leg was off the bed, so these little stick drawings aren't the greatest in the world. But hey guys, if you're watching the show, I know it's a later show, but if you want to help support the channel tonight, I would appreciate it. This is tonight and tomorrow are the only last 2 days of the month, and then we have our donation night. So any amount helps out the channel. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, so basically that's it, you know. And then these have the precise measurements, so I'll probably look at these and then try to put the people exactly, you know, each of the victims exactly where they were, you know, because it talks about, you know, I mean, I have the actual, you know, if I get rid of the roof here, you know, I need to put 2 people in this room. I mean, on the bed there. Her foot was off, so that means Kaylee was kind of similarly, but her legs are over here. And then, you know, I mean, if I measure it from the spots that they have, I think we can get a pretty accurate. Thank you, Jeffrey Siddall. Wow, thanks, Christine, for gifting the 5 memberships. All right, but by the way, I have some other stuff coming. I should get it tomorrow, we'll see, but this one just came randomly today from the Idaho State Police. I don't know if anybody else has this out there. They sent it to me. I don't know, you know, I requested it and got it, so I thought that was pretty cool. But I'll use it to, it's not really like earth-shattering information. What's interesting is this is the literal drawing that somebody made as they're standing in the house, you know, taking notes as what they're looking at. You know, unfortunately, they didn't go to art school, and it's just, you know, stick figures, and I mean, that's kind of standard, I think, but let's see. Never understood why everyone thought the layout of the house. I know. I mean, if you've been on my channel, the layout of the house, other than a few people, hasn't been confusing at all. Literally, we've gone over it 1,000 times. I mean, I think any one of us could have gone there and walked the scene and knew exactly where everything is, every single element, you know. You know, you walk in the house, watch. It's really simple. You walk in, and then just to the right is a storage room. Kind of looks like that. And you walk down the hallway. This has nothing. This floor here is almost irrelevant to the case. Bethany Funk's room. That's where Dylan Mortensen ran to later in the evening. And then you go up these stairs here. This is where you're in the living room. And then there's this little beer pong table sitting there. And then down here is where Xana Kernodle and Ethan Chapin were killed by Brian Koberger. Alright, and then you come out this direction, and then just to the left, before going up the stairs, is Dylan Mortensen's room. And to the right is the kitchen. Okay, right there, you can barely see, right over here on the right, that's the kitchen floor there. So you go up the stairs, and at the top of the stairs, you know, there's two flights. Like you go up that one, and then like this, and then to the left is Kaylee Gonzalez's room. She has a deck also. And then you just come out of her room, and if you'd gone up the top of the stairs and turned right, which Koberger very easily could have done, you're in Madison Mogan's room. This is where he killed Kaylee Gonzalez and Madison Mogan. And then you exit there, go down the stairs. Again, there's Dylan Mortensen's room on the right. Okay, I just go in there for a second. She's just standing there, you know, an idle person. And then here's the kitchen. And then there's the sliding glass door that he exited. It's really pretty. It's not even a complicated or a confusing house at all. People made it seem like that. I don't know why. I think it's simple. It's like a, you know, it's weirdly constructed, but it's not complicated or confusing or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? All right. So then, I mean, I guess that's it for this. That's all I had for you guys. I just wanted to show you that we got the crime scene sketch. It has precise measurements. I can try to emulate that as the best I can, or, you know, try to get to every character where they were, and then we can take a look at that at some point. But, you know, I mean, it's if the guy pled guilty, it's not like we're, you know, I'm just trying to put it all together. And then at some point, maybe we'll have everything possible to put together the entire case in a video or something. I mean, let me ask you guys, don't all of you guys feel like if you went to that house, you'd know exactly where to go because you've watched it on my channel 1,000 times? Seriously. I mean, put a 1 if you think you could walk in the house and walk right up to Xana Kernodle's room. You would know exactly where Bethany Funk's room is. You know where the little storage room is, right there on the right. You would know that you go out of the living room, down one little tiny step into the, you know, kitchen area, or Dylan Mortensen are upstairs. It's just so we have it memorized here. Right. So there you go. Just gonna close that out. Oh, I got a ton of crap open here for some reason. I got all this other stuff open. All right, cool. All right. So now we're gonna try something. One of the old school cold cases, and I think there's a good chance that one of these two different people are the killer of this lady. But I just doubt that they collected the materials correctly. All right. But while I'm doing this, if you guys want to help support the channel, that would be awesome. You know, it's one of those things. I'm hoping someday we can get back to doing the older cases, because they're interesting. All right, so there's this lady named Louise M. Oberholtz, almost like Oberholzer, but you know, just Oberholtz. Whoa! Hey, Lisa Belson again. Who else? I mean, come on. Thank you. Very cool. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think we knew that, Christine. I bet you when you were born, your last name wasn't YK8FL. That'd be a strange last name. Hello, Sheila. It's an inside joke. Yeah. Thank you for telling us, Christine, that that isn't really your last name. I think there were a lot of us that were wondering, you know? Like on Shamo up there, if their name happened to be Shamo, I bet their last name wasn't 2405. Or Sheila, for example, or that's you, but, or Sheila. Yeah, I doubt her last name is J2025. Yeah. All right, so this is regarding yeah, not that lady. Where is the one? That's on this one right here. This could be sort of a long deal here. Let's see if we can do it. All right, ready? Man, this is like a low super chat night. We've got $1.99. That looks weird. I gotta be honest. Let somebody try to do something to make that a little different. All right, here we go. This is a woman's body, throat cut, found in North Hill Field. This one I spent a little bit of time trying to figure out where the hell this was. And let's see. I think it's just right over here. Dead for at least 6 hours. The nude body of an unidentified woman. Her throat cut was found today in a vacant field in North Hill residential area, a quarter-mile east of the expressway. Police said the woman, believed to be in her late 30s or early 40s, apparently had been dead for at least 6 hours. She wore only a pair of blue sneakers and clutched a let's see, clutched a, where is this the same? They were held in women's slang. That's a different story. Did it go there? Or am I even, this even, is this even, yeah, that's page 7. Okay, now I gotta go back to 1 again. Where the hell is that? Clutched a, oh, there it is. I guess it's continued right here. I thought it went over, right here, it went to page 7, but, so it says, clutched a white blood-stained cloth. She wore a pair of blue sneakers and clutched a white blood-stained cloth. She was white, 5'4", weighed 90 pounds, and had brown hair. Mrs. Walter Huffman of 562 Hollabaugh Avenue discovered the body just off Blinn Street, about 100 feet from where Blinn intersects Evans Avenue. Miss Huffman was walking northeast on Blinn to catch a bus. She ran to the home of a friend, Mrs. James Dole, at 549 Evans Avenue. Oh, so it was Mrs. Walter. Okay, I was wondering what they were talking. So that lady ran to the home of a friend, Mrs. James Dole, 549 Evans Avenue, to get Mrs. Dole to verify the story. Mrs. Huffman said she wanted to make sure I wasn't seeing things. The two went to the scene and returned to Mrs. Dole's house and called police. Detectives searched the area for a murder weapon but were unsuccessful. Detective Glenn Luthen said the woman obviously was killed elsewhere, then driven to Blinn Street where the body was dumped. Neighbors found paper tissue and a blood-stained bra in the middle of Damon Street between Villa Avenue. So neighbors found paper tissues and a blood-stained bra in the middle of Damon Street between Villa Avenue and Hollabaugh, a few blocks southeast of the scene. Wow. Let me see where that is. I guess that part I didn't see. Where the hell is it? Right there. Oh yeah, so that Huffman house of the witness, he lived right here. So Huffman lived right there. And then he ran to the, let's see what that neighbor's house, the other one that he went to. That was 549 Evans Avenue. Yeah, so then went over to this house. So this person must have walked on this little Blinn Street here and then was like, hey, you know, and ran over to a friend's house over here. Yeah, so ran over to there. Any chance we can get the $1.99 off the screen, you guys? That looks bad. I mean, it was, in fact, it was Sandy Shirley to start the show asking for a wave, and not one person. That means you left her hanging. You can't do that with the freaks. Let's see. She ran to the home of the friend, Mrs. James Dole. All right, so anyways, there's this picture in the paper right here. See that? Now, I was trying to figure out where these homes were, and I think I found them. They're like right over here. So there's only two homes that it could be. It only could be this one or that one. So see the shape of the roof in that picture back there? It's got a flat and then two different, you can see what I'm talking about though, right? And there's a window right below it, so it's flat and then two sides that go down. So it looks similar to that, but I think it's this other one right over here. I think that one looks like a better fit. It also, well, actually there's this one and this one. This is the one I was thinking seemed better. If you look at that, I mean, it's got that window's just square with nothing in it, just like that one. Can you see that? So that's the one that I was thinking is it, but I mean, it could be this one right over here that's in the background. But either way, I mean, I think like there's the street that she's found on over here, or just off of it. They're standing on Blinn Street. So that means she's found on the other side of Blinn Street, and then there's some bushes, and then across the way, there's actually a road over there too. There's the house, so that means that, you know, they're standing basically on this street, and her body's found right over there. And I think I have it about where you would think, something like that. See that? So like that. There's the house right there, see? Hey, look at that. What we do supposed to do, you might not have heard on, maybe you have. I first heard on it was like, used to get angry all uptight to say what you want to spell my name right. All another guilty is rocking the house. That's what the room was all about. If you haven't tell all your friends, they don't wait till you see me again. This way I can hear from the horse's mouth right then and there. We straightened it out. Love the old school dance. Hey, all right. Man, that was tough. So we got Chris O'Connell, but I couldn't get one other soul to match up with Sandy Shirley. Whew. Wow. All right, let's see. So I think that's got to be it. I mean, look at the angle there. See, that's probably it right there, you see. I don't see the chimney there, but that's just the one that makes the most sense. Definitely could be one over to the right, but it's not much further away from how I've got it. Oh, well, look at that. They actually have a map over here. Yeah, so there's Blinn. Yeah, exactly. Almost really similar to where we have it. On the other side of the street in the grass. Man, it's so amazing. I mean, the articles from way back then are so much better, you know. Hey, thank you, Jeffrey Siddall. What year did? Oh yeah, this happened 1967. Okay. This is 1967, but I think there's going to be a very strong. You got to just follow along this whole thing. It's going to be pretty interesting, I think. A woman's body, throat cut, found in North Hill Field. The nude body of a unidentified woman. Her throat cut was found today in a vacant field in North Hill residential area. Police said the woman, believed to be in her late 30s or early 40s, apparently had been dead for at least 6 hours. She wore only a pair of blue sneakers and clutched a white blood-stained cloth. She was white, 5'4", weighed 90 pounds, and had brown hair. Mrs. Walter Huffman of 562 Hollaball Avenue discovered the body just off Blinn Street. She ran to the home of a friend. Yeah, so this is almost identical to the last article. So I'll get rid of that one. Go to the next one. All right, this one says, still seek slain woman's identity. Detectives continue to follow leads today in an effort to learn the identity of a woman. And by the way, I got to go back to that first one because I just remember there was something that I hadn't seen. I think it was down here. Oh yeah, they found and blood-stained bra in the middle of Damon Street. Let me see where that is. There it is. So there's Damon Street. Ah, that's right here. Okay. And then it was between Villa Avenue and Hollabah. All right. Hollabah. I thought that was a lady's last name. Faust, Evans. Okay, this is Hollabah. And what did they say? They said Evans, right? No, it's Villa Avenue and Hollabah. So that's Hollabah, and here's Villa. Wow, so it was found right there. See, tissue, blood, bra in the middle of Damon Street. So it was found right here is where the bloody bra was found. That's crazy. So she must have been running from this guy or something. I mean, I don't even know how this would have happened. That's crazy. It was right during the day, I think. It was right there, bloody bra, and then she's found there. Hey, thanks, Shamo. Still seeks slain woman's identity. The woman, about 5'4" and weighing about 90 pounds, was found in a vacant field wearing only... I'm sure it looked totally different back then. I mean, this is 1969. I'm sure it was just a grassy field, you know. She was beaten, stabbed in the chest, her throat cut, and thrown from a car on Blinn Street. Wow, so she must have lived for a little bit. No, she was thrown on Blinn Street, so how come there was a bra? I mean, he must have just tossed it out the window. Nobody knew about DNA back then, so didn't really care. Detectives were told the woman was seen in bars along Arlington Street Tuesday using several different names. Police received about 50 calls Tuesday from persons wishing to make an identification or shed some light on the case. All leads were checked, but to no avail. Fingerprints were sent to the FBI in Washington. Detectives are awaiting the coroner's report. A test proved she was not criminally assaulted. Criminally assaulted. Well, how do you know? Preliminary estimates are she was dead 6 hours when the body was found. No weapons had been found. And let me go back to the original again. What time was that when the guy... I guess it doesn't really have a time, right? Yeah. All right. Moving on to the next one. And then an intended visit by Mrs. Louise Oberholtz, 45. That's how old she was. 712 Roseland Avenue. To her parents' home in Cuyahoga Falls was interrupted Monday by a murderer who dumped her slashed nude body at the side of a dirt street in North Hill. The body was identified Wednesday night in the St. Thomas Hospital morgue by her husband, Robert E. Oberholtz, 47, and her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Glenn Moole of 2510 6th Street in Cuyahoga Falls. Oberholtz told police he thought his wife was visiting her parents until Wednesday evening when he discovered she had not arrived at their home. Mrs. Oberholtz's body was found Tuesday morning on Blinn Street near Evans Avenue. She had been stabbed in the chest and her throat was cut. Her home is in the area between Exchange Street and Butchell Avenue, east of North Expressway. So she lived, I've got that. Well, let's see, that's her parents' house. So she was found there. She lived here in this house. Right there. And then she was going to go visit her parents' house, which is just over here. She was going to take a bus to visit her parents' house right over there. And she never made it there, right? So she lives here, or not, let's see, is that, I gotta hit the button again, further over here. 712 Roselawn Avenue, right here. And then she's found right over here on Blinn Street, and a bloody bra is found right there. Yeah, this is Ohio, Akron, Ohio. Miss Oberholzer had been dead for at least 6 hours. He said he woke about noon Monday when his wife left the house to go to the grocery store. She later returned with groceries and beer purchased at Johnson Street bar, he said. He said she told him she was going to Cuyahoga Falls to visit her parents. Oberholtz said he watched from a window in their home as his wife boarded a bus at about 2:30 p.m. Oberholtz said that when his wife had not returned by 10 p.m., he left for work, leaving their 12-year-old son, David, home alone. When he returned Tuesday and found she had not arrived, Oberholtz was not concerned, he told police. He said his wife had previously spent several days at her parents' home. All right, we got that one. Moving on. That's her right there. That's the only picture I found. North Hill slang remains a mystery. The circumstances surrounding the brutal slaying of 45-year-old Louise M. Oberholtz of 712 Roselawn Avenue remain a mystery today. Her body was found Tuesday on North Hill. 2 West Virginia men were questioned today by detectives who hope they will be able to unravel some of the mystery concerning the woman's activities Monday night. Her husband, Robert, saw her board the bus for Cuyahoga Falls from her home at 2:30 p.m. on Monday. She had told him she was going to visit her parents in the falls, but thus far we have been unable to find anyone who definitely saw her again. I mean, did she have to transfer? How would this guy get access to her, I guess? It's weird because it's like backwards, She would lived here, and she lived right there, and then was going to go visit her parents way over here. I mean, miles-wise, it's not really... It's like 5 miles. It's not far. But then her body's found up here. But if she got on a bus, you'd think it would start heading towards there, but maybe, I don't know, it's weird. It's pretty weird. Yeah. She had told him she was going to visit her parents. Oberholtz, 47, told police Louise left Monday afternoon to see her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Glenn Mule. When she did not return that night or the next day, he still wasn't worried. The coroner ruled that she died of a stab wound to the heart with a pocket knife, which was also used to slash her throat. And that's where that one ends. Hey, thanks, Shamo, for gifting a membership. And for keeping the energy going. Sometimes it just you're on a lonely place when it's just quiet. Alright, this one says private services will be held at 1 p.m. Monday, Billow, Akron. Police are still searching for the slayer of Mrs. Oberholtz, or for the slayer, Mrs. Oberholtz. I keep wanting to say Oberholzer because we've said that a million times from a different case. Was born in Wampin, Pennsylvania, and came to Akron area at the age of 3. She leaves her husband, Robert, so she has a husband. Husband's name is Robert, son David, etc. And this is how they do genealogy, by the way. You look up these kind of things, and you can fill in whole sections just by finding an obituary. All right, so you got that. And those first articles were from October, and now there wasn't anything for a couple months after that. Then she gets brought up in various articles. Here's one, Deputy Chief of Akron. They're talking about different cases here. Police Department, 77-member investigative subdivision, was discussing the city's most recent unsolved murder, Mrs. Robert E. Oberholtz. Nearly all of the many single elements which can produce quick solutions to homicides, confessions, witnesses, tips, weapon, motive, time, and place of death are missing in this case. It could almost be called a classic example of the unsolved murder. The nude body of Louise M. Oberholtz, 45, of 712 Roseland Avenue, was found around 7 a.m. Okay, that's interesting. So if she was dead for 6 hours, let's put that on the map. That's crazy. So she was discovered at 7 a.m. Found at 7 a.m. Died around 1 a.m. Huh. So did somebody kidnap her, or did she say that she was going over to her parents' house, but really went out to the bars? Yeah, because there was people that said they saw her at bars. She did say she went and picked up beers for him at a bar. I'm just wondering, is that sort of cover, like, hey, that's why they saw her at a bar, but the real reason maybe they saw her at a bar. I mean, if she died at 1 a.m., and then she was seen 12 hours earlier leaving on a bus. That's just crazy. Hey, thanks, Stargazer Lily and Chris O'Connell. Thank you. Well, that's interesting. What do you guys think of that right there? Her throat had been cut and her body bore numerous penknife slashes. One penetrating the heart. It probably was delivered about bar closing time, according to the coroner report. Yeah, wow, yeah, exactly. The autopsy showed she had been drinking, a factor complicating the solution to the crime in a number of ways. Yeah, now it's like, okay, so did she really go visit her parents, or did she just go drinking at a bar, or did she plan to go to their parents and then went to a bar? I don't know. What do you got? That sort of just seems like she went drinking, doesn't it? Now that you see that she was killed at 1 a.m., she had drinks in her system. We don't. Where had she been drinking? Cutright asked. Then answered, "We don't know. We've been to every bar in the area, but no one remembers seeing her. Besides, bar types who stay late often are not the best of witnesses." That's crazy. Motives, too, are obscure. Robbery. We're told she didn't even have a cab fare, Cutright said. Anyway, it wouldn't have been necessary to kill her in order to get her purse. A sex crime? Despite her nudity, the coroner found no evidence of this type of attack. Well, you don't know that means anything. Detectives have grilled a number of suspects without result so far in the Overholtz case, Cartwright said, and the file will grow thicker until it's solved. So that was just regarding that case, and then they moved on to some other ones. All right, then January 31st. Home. Look how screwed up this is, though. So this is the same guy, Robert, the husband of 712 Roseland Avenue, told police Tuesday that his house was burglarized and he is missing items valued at $230. Man, it makes you sort of wonder if the killer of Louise got her key at some point and they just didn't realize that was missing. Overholtz was the husband of Louise M. Overholtz, whose throat was cut and whose body was found October 3rd in a North Hill field. No clues. I've also thought, I wonder, is this guy, what's his story, the husband? But I don't know. I'm not feeling it this time like the husband. Overholtz said that a diamond ring and a necklace and a transistor radio and cigarettes and beer were taken. All right, you got that one? All right, now we're on to, let's see. Let's start on this page. I don't know. I don't know why I have that one. Oh yeah, so it does start on that page. Oh yeah, that's right. They're looking to see about this guy right here. Let me zoom in. That's right. So in 1968, Leon Walker, 26, was another suspect Akron detectives were checking in homicide investigation. Today, 3 years after knowing Walker's whereabouts, police had enough evidence for the Summit County grand jury to indict for a former Marine for abduction resulting in death. Under Ohio law, a person convicted of abduction resulting in death is guilty of first-degree murder. The penalty is the same. I totally agree with that. The penalty is the same as that for murder. Death in the electric chair unless the jury recommends mercy. Walker, now an inmate of the Maine State Prison, was charged with the April 1968 killing of Mrs. Ruby Rivers, 45, whose partially clothed body, kind of sounds similar, let's see, partially clothed body was found in Talmadge Yard. It's right in the same area. Mrs. Roberta Carmichael of the prison's classification department confirmed that the secret indictment had been received by prison authorities. And let's just go down here. Walker was arrested in Orono, Maine in August 1968 for kidnapping and assaulting to kill a 17-year-old girl who was chloroformed and gagged in the back of Walker's truck. He was sentenced to 15 to 55 years. Why the 3-year delay interviewing Walker? Former county prosecutor James Barbudo said when police became interested in Walker, the Maine case was being prepared for court. Yeah, so let's go down here. In particular, detectives were interested in questioning him about the stabbing death of Mrs. Louise Oberholtz, 45, whose nude body was found in North Hill area. Her throat had been cut, and there was a fatal stab wound to the heart. Say no to lols. There were certain tendencies in Walker's background that police were interested in pursuing, Barbuda said. He said, however, it is also very difficult to interview suspects under another state's control. It says, after Walker's trial, the press of work and other delays pushed the time when police would be able to talk to Walker to 1971. Between those years, the Rivers and Oberholtz files were shelved and only brought out to update them or add some bit of information picked up in the investigations. So I don't know if, why they... I think he's just somebody that has a similar MO at the time. All right, so that was 1971. Then the next time I see something in here with even any of their names, that's the husband, Robert, the guy whose home was robbed from, but he passed away. So he lost his wife in 67, and then 81. He was only 62 years old. He was Mr. Oberholtz is survived by his sons, Neil L. David E. James R. all Akron parent, and then it probably says preceded in death somewhere in there. And then there's another one. So one of their kids even has passed away. This is how old all this stuff is. So Jim Oberholtz, 75 years old, passed away. I don't know if it's one of their kids, but now January 3rd, 2024, after a prolonged illness, he was the son. Yeah, so this is that's their kid. That's how old this all is. Because 69 and then 2024, I mean, you're looking at 50 something years, 55 years, plus they were already 45, so they'd be 100 if they were still alive. And then this guy's 75. He was the son of late Robert and Louise Oberholtz. So now, I mean, even that's how old this case is. Are you guys even here? I need more typing and people chatting and stuff, you guys. It's just talking to a brick wall. It's not fun, you know. All right, so that case is cold as hell, right? But then there's these two other cases. Somebody on Facebook, it's so weird because, I mean, we've covered so many cases. They said, hey, what about this case? Or what about that one? And I go, wow, I've covered those cases. And we even went over this a while ago. But I'm going to bring it up anyways. All right, so let's go over these. This is 1970. I don't know if we've gone over these specifically, but these are just other women. And this is also in the same newspaper, the Akron Beacon. All right. So this is 3 years after Louise. The body of an 18-year-old Karen Louise Bentz, which is kind of strange. She has Louise in there. A former Akron Central High School student was found today on Indian Hills Road in southeast Talmadge. Police said Miss Bentz had been stabbed 7 or 8 times in the chest. She was found face down, fully clothed beside a curb on the street, part of the exclusive Talmadge Woods allotment. Police said they believe the girl was killed before midnight. She was the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Leland Bentz, 56 Jewett Street in Akron. She lived in an apartment at 56 North Arlington Street. All right, so this person's name is Karen Bentz. And I think this is where her parents live. So this is all in the same general area. I mean, look at all these pins and everything. So we've got Karen Bentz right here. And then let's get that other address. I think this is where her parents live. The other address was 56 North Arlington Street. Yeah, so pretty close to her parents. So I do have that right here. And obviously the apartment's not there anymore, but I bet if we go to Google Earth and move it back a little bit. Yeah, there's still something there in 2006. It's just not there now. So I lived pretty close to her parents' house. Miss Bentz's body was found by Coleman Pinkston of 768 East Avenue, who was driving through the allotment about 7:30 a.m. Pinkston called police from the nearby home of Ben Ware, executive vice president. Isn't that amazing, all the names they put in these articles? Like, they never do this anymore. You would never get that. Like, yeah, all these different people's names and houses that you went by. Talmadge Sergeant David Williams said tire marks were found where Miss Bentz's body apparently was dumped from a car. See, again, isn't that weird? Like, this person's dumped from a car, stabbed in the chest. The girl was identified through a central high ring. She was a member of the class of 1969. So where did it say? Former Akron high school student was found today on Indian Hills Road in southeast Talmadge. Let's see, Indian. So she was found over here. Oh yeah, that's right. I have this all this mapped out. I'm not sure why that pin is right there. Let me get that. Paste it in here. And then, all right. Police said Miss Bentz had a daughter, Lori, about 3, who lived with grandparents. The girl maintained 2 jobs at the Red Barn across from City Hospital on East Market Street and Lawson on South Main Street near Wilbeth Avenue. Less than a half mile from where the body was discovered, he said, a white uniform type dress. See, isn't that interesting, you guys? Like in this one, too, there's another item found elsewhere. I think that's crazy. He said a white uniform type dress, penny loafers, and a girdle were found that were identified as Miss Bentz. And they said within a half mile, right? So her body was found right here. And from there, I have a half-mile circle. So maybe at one of these parks or in the woods over here, somewhere around on a street. Don't really know, but it's within a half mile of where she was found. But hey, guys, if you're out there and you want to help support the channel, try to reach the goal tonight. That'd be sweet. On a non-big case night. And that's her right there. Less than a half mile from where the body was discovered. He said a white uniform. Okay, down here it says, police said no bloodstains were on the dress and other items found at 706 East Avenue. Oh. Let's see. 706 East Avenue. Well, that's where, look at that. It's right on the edge. That's where it was found. Crazy. And it's right there, so I'll put that right here. Crazy. That's right outside that half-mile mark that I had. I know, it sounds very similar. That's what I'm thinking. And you guys don't need to, just let me do the, get through this, all right? Miss Bentz, a 5'4" blonde, was clad in a spring jacket and yellow shorts and sandals when her body was found. All right, there's one more on her. So Karen Bentz took a long walk. Karen L. Bentz, an attractive 18-year-old blonde, left her parents' home at 56 Jewett Street at 11:15 p.m. So she's going out to walk 4 blocks to her apartment. Right, and that's pretty much what we were just showing, is that, let's see, she lived here, and then didn't her parents, I think her parents lived, I think she lived right here. That's right. She lived here, and her parents, so when I say apartment, let me get that in the right folder. God, that was way up there. Alright, yeah, so that's about 4 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, right over there. So she literally, I think she was over at her parents' house, right? 56. She left her parents' home, and she was just walking to her house. And she left at 11:15. Her body was found about 7:30 a.m. the next day. Isn't that weird, too? Because her body was found at 7:30 a.m., and the other, Louise Oberholtz, she was found at 7 a.m. It's almost like the prowler out in the evening time. She was found face down, fully clothed. She died around midnight as a result of the wounds, the coroner said. Police said she wasn't sexually molested. Akron and Talmadge police are working today to try to learn what happened to Karen's daughter, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Leland Bentz.
Karen, a slender 5'4", had come to her parents' home at around 10:30 p.m. from her job at Lawson's on South Main near Wilbeth Avenue, according to her 14-year-old sister, Sandy. Karen worked 4 hours daily at the Red Barn across from the City Hospital on East Market and 7 hours at Lawson's. She was home to pick up plain white work uniform, a girdle, stockings, sounds like some of the items that they found, and penny loafers, according to police. Karen worked so many hours, her sister Sandy said. Mom usually washed and pressed her uniforms and clothes. She had a 3-year-old child, Lori, who lives with Mr. and Mrs. Bentz. Wearing a light-colored jumpsuit, yellow spring jacket, and sandals, the girl left her parents at 11:15 p.m., carrying the work clothes, and walked towards the apartment she shared with a secretary at 56 North Arlington Street. Karen had moved to an apartment in March, her father said, to show us she could make it on her own. A boyfriend, Bill Schad, 20, an Akron University student, had been dating Karen steadily for about a month. He said Karen had told him to call a little after 11 p.m., but when he did, her roommate answered. I left a number for her to call. He said she never did. Wow. Wednesday morning, Miss Bentz's body was spotted by Coleman Pinkston of 768 East Avenue as he drove through the exclusive Talmadge Woods allotment, police said. Pinkston went to the nearby home of Ben Ware, executive vice president of the Greater Akron Home. Even the people acted the same. They went to the neighbor and they said, of the Greater Akron Home Builder Association, and telephoned Talmadge police. Tire marks near the body, according to Captain Jerry Knapp, indicate the girl had been left along the road after she had been stabbed. I mean, it's exactly the same as Louise Oberholtz. But hey, guys, any chance you guys could help support the channel? We're still only like at 70% of the minimum goal level. Yeah, not even that, like 60. So if you guys have the ability and you're out there, that would be awesome. I know it's not the sexy, big, cool, big case, but I think these are just as interesting. You know, and I've sort of missed being able to do these. So make it worth doing these. That would be great. Thank you. And then over here it says, the tire marks near the body. Okay, police found no purse or identification papers, and Sergeant David Williams traced the girl's identity through initials in a Central High 1969 class ring. She did not graduate. Less than a mile away from where the body was discovered, police found the girdle, stockings, and then worn loafers, and one of the dresses Karen had been carrying. There were no bloodstains on the items found on East Avenue, which apparently were thrown from a car. I wonder if she... I bet you she was like forced into the car. She had those items, and this guy just tossed them out at some point. Police also found another white uniform at the Southeast Avenue exit of the East Expressway, about 2 miles from where the body was found. Hey, thanks, M&M. I just ate some of those today. Those are... Anyways, thanks. Akron and Talmadge police are piecing together a list of Karen's associates, but questioning of a dozen persons who either knew the girl or lived in the Jewett Street area has turned up little, according to the Akron police. She had worked for the Red Barn across the city from the city hospital for over a year. The regular customers knew her, said manager Ray West. She made friends easily. Besides her parents and sister, she leaves brother Jerry Lee at home. Friends may call. Okay, anyways, right here. See, this is There's a little map right here, and it shows you exactly where she was found. And it's right over here, right there. Yeah, it's the same. It's hard to make that bigger. Let's see. Ding, 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 ding. Right. Yeah, so there's Norton Road. Where the hell is that one? Norton Road. Is that this one? Okay, this is Fawnwood Drive. Right? Yeah, and then it goes up around like that. Right. Okay, so this is Fawn Drive, and it goes up, and then right there. So it's right in the lower end of this rectangle here, right down in there. So it's really just right here. Now, you know, were these homes all there back then? Could have been. Let's see, these look old. Yeah, I mean, these are that's like 1950 style right there. So, yeah, that's where her body was found, right in this location. So there's that one. All right. Then we've got another person. Another woman that was killed in this is 1972. So, you know, within 5 years of Louise. Coventry woman found slain. The body of a Coventry Township housewife stabbed in the back at least 9 times was found today by a hunter near the Stark County line in Greene Township. The woman was identified by Summit County Sheriff's Police as Mrs. Catherine L. Bevington, 27, of 555 Kruger Avenue. And she lived right over here. Yeah, so I mean, just all together, everything's not too far away. It's right there. There's one. Mrs. Bevington had been sought by area police since her husband Jay filled a missing person report the evening of October 4th, police said. She had been stabbed in the back at least 9 times. Preliminary investigation showed the coroner will conduct an autopsy to determine exact cause of death. She appeared to have been dead more than a month. Her body was fully clothed in a gray, red, and white strip knit suit lying in the woods about 50 yards west of Creebom Road. Let's see if we got that. So that's where she lived. And I think she's found right here. Yeah, this is that road, Creebon Road, and then let's get back to that. West of Creebon Road and about a half mile north of Raber Road. Okay, so that's a little bit different than that spot. Here, let's see. Let me measure this. It's 0.35. Yeah, so like right around in here. That's where she was found. That's a little bit more secluded even. That's in 2000. That's what it looks now. All right. You guys still interested in this? I mean, I think this is really interesting. So police were called by Louis Nagel of 11140 Market Street, Northeast Uniontown, a hunter who said he saw the body. At first, thought it was a department store mannequin. Boy, how many times have we heard that? Hey, thank you, Lisa Belson. Police said Mrs. Bevington was the mother of 2 children and was last seen at 11:30 a.m. October 4th at the Massillon Road Pharmacy, where she'd been working 4 days. Her handbag and car were left behind, police said. Wow, so she was taken, right? Thank you, Chris O'Connell. Pharmacy where she... Let's see. Police said Miss Bevington was the mother of 2 children, so another mother, and was last seen at 11:30 a.m. October 4th at the Massillon Road Pharmacy, where she had been working 4 days. Her handbag and car were left behind. Well, that's weird, isn't it? And let me show you a picture. That's there's actually 3 women here, right? So this lady right here is who we're talking about. The last one was this one, and then there's going to be another one here in a minute. And there's a picture of her right there. So it says, Catherine, why did slain woman leave job? And let's go to page 1 first, it looks like. All right, there you go. The 4th day on the job, October 4th, Catherine L. Bevington arrived at 11 a.m. at the Massillon Road Pharmacy just south of Akron. An hour and a half later, she was mysteriously gone, missing until a hunter found her body, which police said was stabbed at least 9 times in a wooded area near Uniontown at 9:30 a.m. Wednesday, the first day of hunting season. Mrs. Bevington had left behind her purse and her automobile. Pharmacist Al Smith, who had hired Miss Bevington, the mother of 2, October 1st, described her as having an outgoing personality. This is why she was hired. She seemed very pleasant at first, but very depressed about something, Smith said. Other than that, she had a nice personality. Major Alan Morrison, chief of the Summit County Sheriff's Detective Bureau, said Miss Bevington's husband, Jay, reported her missing in a report filed at 6:20 p.m. on October 4th. Since that time, Morrison said Wednesday, we've spent literally hundreds of hours trying to trace her husband of the unusual circumstances of her disappearance. We felt it wasn't the normal sort of missing person report in which someone runs away. Wednesday morning, the sheriff's office was called by Louis Nagel of 11140 Market Street, Northeast Uniontown, hunter, who said he saw the body at first and thought it was a department store mannequin. Her body was found, it says Bori, but was fully clothed in gray, red, and white striped knit suit, lying on the wooded slope about 50 yards west of Creebom Road. On the slope. Let's see if we can... But they also said it was a half-mile north of Raber Road. So is there a hill that you can see if you're like right here? I don't know. Usually you can't see the Google car, but I don't know. I don't know where the hill is specifically. Might be one just like right over here somewhere. 50 yards out, maybe over there. And then it said... So why did, and that's on, is it really on the next page? Yeah. So then it says, neighbors on Kruger Avenue could give no clues to Miss Bevington's sudden disappearance. Miss Eileen Snyder of 556 Kruger said she had known the woman 7 years. She was my best friend. This is terrible. She would have done anything in this world for anybody. I don't know of anybody who didn't like her. Miss Snyder said she saw Miss Bevington about 5 p.m. the afternoon before she disappeared. She was making supper for her children and was in good spirits, she said. Mrs. Shirley Rose, 552 Kruger, said she was a real nice neighbor. If you needed something done, she was always right there to do it for you. I last saw her on Monday night, October 2nd, before she disappeared. She was shopping at Chappell Hill. We talked briefly, and there didn't seem to be anything wrong, Miss Rose said. Mrs. Rose also said she saw Miss Bevington leaving for work on the day she disappeared, but didn't speak to her. Bevington, a draftsman at Rickwill Inc. in Breckville, was questioned by police Wednesday afternoon. And then this one does say, a sandy-haired man in his late 20s was seen talking to Mrs. Catherine Bevington just minutes before her disappearance from work at the Mazzillion Road Pharmacy, her employer says. Miss Bevington, 27. See, it's kind of weird. There's sort of an overlapping thing here where it's almost like, you know, this person, almost like Bundy, tricked them. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you know, some kind of, whatever the wording they're using, got him to do something. You know? We don't know. It's just odd. Miss Bevington, 27, whose body was found with multiple stab wounds in a Green Township field Wednesday, appeared to know the man who talked to her in the drugstore. So she's talking to somebody on October 4th, said pharmacist Al Smith. I was busy waiting on 5 customers, but I looked up once and saw her kneeling on the floor. She seemed to be arranging the candy shelves, Smith said. Then I saw a man talking with her, but she made no effort to wait on him. He didn't act like a customer. She knew him. A few minutes later, they were both gone. Miss Bevington disappeared from the drugstore on Mazzillion Road, just south of Akron. This person had to have something to do with it. About 10 a.m., October 4th, she left behind her car, purse, and cigarettes. Smith said a torn matchbook from an Imperial motel apparently was also left behind. An autopsy Thursday confirmed Miss Bevington died of multiple stab wounds, but a Summit County coroner investigator said the date of her death and the type of sharp instrument used in the killing have not yet been determined. Miss Bevington, her husband Jay, and their 2 children lived at 555 Kruger Avenue. Let's see. He was at work at Brecksville Design Firm. The day she disappeared, reported her missing at 6:20. Her body was found in a Green Township wooded area in southern Summit County near the Stark County line. Let's see. In addition to her husband and children, John and Deborah, she leaves behind. Okay, that's more of the obituary stuff. All right, then we go to the last one. Loretta Jean Davis. This is 1975. So this is all in all of these are 8 years, even the original Louise Oberholtz. So right here, slain woman found in Suffield Township. The body of a Brimfield Township woman who had been stabbed twice was found about noon Sunday on Congress Lake Road, about a mile and a half south of Waterloo Road. And that's right over here. See, I have it measured. These are the roads, and this is measuring it out. This is where she was found. So, you know, you zoom it out. Look at all these yellow pins. They're all kind of in the generally the same place, right? The victim was identified as Loretta Davis, 21, of 286 Old Forge Road. Portage County Coroner Robert Seibert said it appeared the woman had been dead between 8 and 12 hours. Her body was discovered by a passerby, according to police. Portage County Chief Sheriff Deputy Warren Strauss said the woman's car had been found in Talmadge. It was found in front of the Talmadge Auto Parts on Southeast Avenue, the Beacon Journal learned. The woman had been stabbed twice, once in each breast. An autopsy was to be performed today. Sheriff Lieutenant Ross Jamerson said the woman apparently had been dumped along the side of the road, here we go again, sometime Saturday night because there was little blood where she was found. Although several houses are nearby, no one reported seeing or hearing anything suspicious the night before. He said police were puzzled that no one reported seeing the body, which was near the road in deep grass, until noon Sunday. And I think we have the location of her car. Let's see, right here. So now we're right in the middle. Like, look at all this, you know. I mean, it's just right in the middle of all these other pins here. And this is where her car was found, in this business here. Her body was discovered by a passerby, according to police. And then, let's see, although several houses are nearby, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we already went through that. So let me go to the next one. That's her in the picture. Almost looks like a Bundy type. Hey, you guys, it's only Sandy and Lanky Tor commenting. Can we get some more people to comment? Thanks. Loretta Jean was wary of strangers. Loretta Jean Davis was an attractive girl of 21 years. She was nearly 6 feet tall, with soft mint green eyes and light brown hair cut in long shag style. Friends say she was easygoing but impulsive and not much for making plans. She did almost everything on the spur of the moment. Shortly past midnight Saturday, after returning to her Brimfield Township home from a date, Miss Davis left a note for her parents saying she was going out for something to eat. She didn't return. About noon Sunday, she was found stabbed to death along Congress Lake Road, nearly 1.5 miles from Waterloo Road in Suffield Township. Portage County Coroner Robert Seibert would say only that she had been dead 8 to 12 hours. I mean, doesn't that seem like that's like the pattern too? It's weird. I mean, I guess that's when people wake up in the morning, but they're all dumped in the middle of the night. Is anybody here? Anybody? A close friend of Miss Davis, who asked not to be identified, discussed her death. I guess she probably went to Borden Burger in Kent to eat. That's where she usually went. I don't know where else she would have gone. Her friend said Miss Davis won a couple of trophies for baton twirling. She was well coordinated and very athletic. Yeah, I always threw them in places where people could see. Tracing car in Suffield stabbing sling. Portage County Sheriff deputies and the Talmadge police today began checking auto registrations in the area in the search for the killer of 21-year-old Loretta Jean Davis. Object of the search is the owner of a 1975 silver-colored Chrysler Cordoba. Police believe Miss Davis was last seen sitting in a parked Cordoba at about 2:30 a.m. Sunday in front of the Talmadge Auto Parts stores. That's right where her car is. So she got into another car there. The woman's auto, a green and white Plymouth Duster, was found Monday at the parts store parking lot. Hours after her body was found Sunday on the Congress Lake Road in Suffield Township. Talmadge Detective Sergeant Dave Williams said car registrations are being checked, but he's hopeful making public a key clue The search for the car will help locate its owner. Miss Davis left home shortly after midnight Sunday morning, leaving a note telling her parents that she was going to get something to eat. The note, however, did not say where she was going. Daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Robert Davis of 286 Forge Road, Brimfield Township. Miss Davis died of 2 stab wounds to the chest. See, there you go again. So you got that. And then, I mean, the thing is, not long ago, there was an individual arrested for those 3. Okay? And look at this. So let's go back, way back in time here. 2 indicted in attack. Right over it says, also Floyd E. Coney breaking and entering and carrying a concealed weapon, and also Gustav A. Sapharas rape and carrying a concealed weapon. So he was just randomly mentioned right there. Then we go over to here. Man guilty of assault. Gustav A. Sapharas, 32. So this is 1977. He's 32 years old. So he would have been 22 when Louise Oberholtz was killed. All right? See, that's what I'm saying. So this guy right here, Gustav Sapharas, he would have been, if in 1960, if he's 32 years old in 77, and Louise Oberholtz was 67, he's 22 years old, more than capable of doing this. He lived at 1950 Adelaide Boulevard at that time. And let's see if this is it. Then you just type it in. 1950. There it is. Yeah, that's the house right there. So look where that is. I mean, just right in the middle, like literally in the middle of this. Like you could literally draw the circle around the edge of the white, and he's right in the center of it. Isn't that crazy? And so he lived in this house right here. All right. What if as a whole, the group out there, you guys, if we can do 11 more channel memberships, we'd reach just a normal, decent night. That'd be cool. So that's for all the rest of you out there. See if we can do it. Yeah, so it looks like I think he lived in that one. Right there. Okay? And let's keep moving through this. So Gustav Sapharas, this is 1977. Adelaide Boulevard had been found guilty of 2 counts of assault and, sexual assault, and 1 count of carrying a concealed weapon in connection with the October 11th sexual assault on a 28-year-old Cuyahoga Falls woman. A jury of 10 men and 2 women returned the guilty verdicts Wednesday after 3 hours of deliberation in Summit County Common Pleas Judge William R. Baird's courtroom. Judge Baird delayed sentencing until February 18th so that Sapharas could undergo the psychiatric examination mandated by the state's sexual assault convictions. Sapharas is the manager of Sapharas Restaurant at 1540 South Arlington Street, which is, if you go to Google Maps and then you go back, so that's it right here. Or, let's see. Let me make sure. Gotta look at the map. Yeah, it's right there. But I think if you go down there to Street View, it's not there anymore. Or maybe it is. So, that's what it looks like back on Street View. Kind of older shot there. He owned a restaurant, this guy, though. It's crazy, isn't it? Thanks, Shamo. Let's see. So then he sentenced Gustavus Sapharas, 32, of 1950 Adelaide Boulevard. He was sentenced to 15 to 60 years in Ohio State Correctional Institute in Lucasville by Summit County Common Pleas Judge. Sapharas, on January 26, was found guilty of 2 counts of sexual assault and 1 count of carrying a concealed weapon by a common pleas jury. The charges stemmed from an October 11th assault on a 28-year-old Cuyahoga Falls woman. Assistant County Prosecutor Charles Kirkwood said man, my stomach's just... pre-sentence investigation of Sapharas showed he is not mentally deficient or psychotic, but is seriously psychologically disturbed. Sapharas was the manager of Sapharas Restaurant at 1540 South Arlington Street. Then in 2019, all of those were 1977. And then we got right here. Suspect killer left trail of crime. Screams of a half-naked woman covered in blood startled neighbors awake in suburban Columbus on Friday morning in October of 1991. "Get away from me! Help me!" the woman hollered, slashed at the air with a knife as a naked man, also smeared with blood, hovered over her, trying to force her back inside a posh 5-bedroom home where likely no one could hear her cries. The woman, this guy, I bet he's killed so many people. The woman, with a deep stab wound under her left breast, was slashed to one of her arms, and another stab wound to the back survived. So did more than a half dozen other women in Greater Akron and beyond, who have told authorities they were brutalized by the same man, Gustav Gus Sapharas, over 4 decades. Now authorities believe Sapharas also killed at least 3 women, putting him on a growing list of suspected Northeast Ohio rapists and serial killers whose decades-long pattern of crime have only recently been discovered. Tallmadge police are not yet revealing what led them to Sapharas in the cold murder case of Karen Bentz, 18, of Akron in 1970, and Loretta Jean Davis, 21, of Brimfield Township in 1975. Last year, a jury in Central Ohio acquitted Sapharas of the 1991 killing of a 3rd woman from Columbus. That's because she didn't show up to testify. I think this guy killed... There's a good chance this guy killed Louise Oberholtz. Don't you think? I mean, he was attacking people in 1970. There's even 1960. Let's just read this part over here. Let's just do this whole thing. I mean, it's pretty interesting. Gus Sapharas was born in 1944. So you look at 1967, he's 22, 23 years old. Hey, thanks, Stargazer, Lily, and Phyllis Watson, Shamo. Thank you, guys. Very kind. Thank you so much. What do you guys think of this? I bet you Louise Oberholtz was killed by this Gustav. But by the way, there's another person in a minute. Gus Sapharas was born in 1944 and grew up in Goodyear Heights, the eldest of 2 children. His parents owned Sapharas Restaurant, a busy 24-hour steak and eggs place popular with cops, off-duty waitresses from across the city, and factory workers at the corner of South Arlington Street. Sapharas went to East High School and would later tell police he attended the University of Akron for a couple of years before ending up in the U.S. Army as a veteran as the Vietnam War escalated. It's not clear whether he drafted or enlisted, but in 1965, Sapharas was a private first class with the 82nd Airborne Division at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. I wonder if the time doesn't work. Let's see. When he returned to Akron, a tattoo declaring death before dishonor on one of his arms, violence came with him. Sapharas was arrested in May of 1969. So when did he make it back? In the beating and attempted sexual assault of a 20-year-old Green Township woman who spurned his advances during a date. Later that year, he pleaded guilty to lesser charges, and a judge sentenced Sapharas to 2 years of probation. The next month, in April of 1970, police found a woman's body face down in Talmadge off of Indian Hills Road. That's one of the ones we just talked about. That's Karen Bentz, where a new housing development was going up. She had been stabbed 7 or 8 times in the chest. Police identified her through her Akron Central High School class ring, which was engraved with the initials matching Karen Louise Bentz. Bentz, 18, had left her young daughter, Lori, with her parents at their Akron apartment the evening before. Bentz was last seen walking to her own apartment, which was about 4 blocks away. The murder case went cold. That says, Sapharas, meanwhile, landed a job in downtown Akron at a job training business in Cascade Plaza. The job and many that followed didn't last. Sapharas soon married and moved to Huntington, West Virginia. In January of 1972, a 22-year-old Huntington woman told police she was driving home about 3 a.m. when another car driven by Sapharas rear-ended her. When she got out of the car to exchange information, Sapharas pulled a knife and see, this is probably what he did to all of these people. Even Louise Oberholtz, maybe, when she went to the bus or maybe at a bar. It sounds like she was drinking. That's really the point of this whole thing, is trying to see if any of these other people may be, which ones you guys think are most likely to have killed Louise Oberholtz. Because hers is, almost identical to the other 3 that we have in this case, don't you think? Let's see. So in January 1972, a 22-year-old Huntington woman told police she was driving home about 3 a.m. See, it was really early in the morning, when another car driven by Sapharas rear-ended her. So he did it on purpose. When she got out of the car to exchange information, Sapharas pulled a knife and forced her to get on to the floor of his car, she said. Sapharas drove her to a spot in another county where he sexually assaulted and tortured her for about 2 hours, the woman told police. And see, doesn't that make sense? The other one, like 11 o'clock, and then all of a sudden 1 o'clock in the morning. It's the same time frame. Sapharas went to trial, and a jury deadlocked on the sexual assault and kidnapping charges. A judge declared a mistrial. What a joke. In 1974, about 2 years into their marriage, Sapharas' wife filed for divorce on grounds of adultery, which a judge granted. The couple never had children. Sapharas, thank God. Sapharas, meanwhile, continued to kick around Akron, landing a job in 1975 as a salesman at Jim Leach Ford in West Hill. In May of that year, Cuyahoga Falls police were called to Manners Restaurant at the corner of Front Street and Hudson Drive. This is, by the way, this is in the Akron Beacon. The woman's pant. Okay, let's see. Let me go there. In May of that year, Cuyahoga Falls police were called to Manners Restaurant at the corner of Front Street and Hudson Drive after a 20-year-old Akron woman jumped out of Sapharas' Pontiac Le Mans and said she had been sexually assaulted. The woman's pants zippers torn. There was a human bite mark on her skin and light cuts on her stomach. And that's similar again to Louise Oberholtz. Remember how there was those lighter cuts on her? I bet you anything that this guy did that. Sapharas told people that two were dating and had a lover's quarrel, but the woman told police she first met Sapharas that day when he pulled up to her in a car while she was walking in Akron near South Arlington Street and Archwood Avenue. Sapharas drove her to a gravel pit and tried to kiss her. When she refused, Sapharas grabbed her by the throat and squeezed until she passed out, the woman told police. When she came to, she said Sapharas was making small cuts on her stomach with a knife. Man, that's exactly the same as Louise Oberholtz. Don't you remember that one part where they said that there was these smaller cuts? Wow, that's crazy, man. The woman, when she came to, she said Sapharas was making small cuts. I don't read all this beforehand, so it's pretty crazy. Was making small cuts on her stomach with a knife and threatened to kill her if she didn't cooperate. Let's see. No, there's no way. This is too involved stuff here. You'd have to go listen to it. There's like a whole bunch of cases and... that's why I sent you a message. I said, hey, come watch. We're doing an old school. Even late at night, too. Like we used to do. She fled the car when she had the chance. Okay, let me start that sentence over again. Sapharas drove her to a gravel pit and tried to kiss her. When she refused, Sapharas grabbed her by the throat and squeezed until she passed out. When she came to, she said Sapharas was making small cuts on her stomach with a knife and threatened to kill her if she didn't cooperate. She fled the car when she had the chance. It's not clear if charges were ever filed. 4 months after that reported sexual assault in September 1975, the body of 21-year-old Loretta Jean Davis was found dumped on Congress Lake Road in Suffolk Township. She had been stabbed twice in the chest. Davis left a note for her parents the night before saying she was going out to get something to eat, but didn't say where. Police found Davis. I bet you she ate it. Maybe she ate at his restaurant. Police found Davis' Plymouth Duster parked several miles away in front of Talmadge Auto Parts. Like the 1970 case of Bentz, who was found stabbed in Talmadge, the Davis case went cold. In September of 1976, Sapharas met 28-year-old Cuyahoga Falls woman at the Dry Dock restaurant in Fairlawn. The two talked several times, and one night in October, Sapharas called and asked if he could visit the woman at her Portage Trail apartment. The woman declined, but Sapharas showed up anyway. And, man, Jesus. And she let him inside. Oh, my God. They talked for about 20 minutes before she asked him to leave so she could go to bed. When the woman walked him to the door, Sapharas grabbed her by the neck and pulled a steak knife out of his coat pocket. The woman told police they scuffled. She screamed, and then Sapharas warned her, "If you don't do what I say, I'll run this knife through you." Sapharas sexually assaulted her and then lingered in the apartment smoking cigarettes, telling her he'd like to see her again before leaving her apartment. Jesus. It is not clear whether investigators believed other women who had made complaints against Sapharas, but reports show Cuyahoga Falls police thought this victim was credible, particularly after learning about 4 other local reports of sexual assaults or sodomy involving Sapharas, including the sexual assault of the woman at the gravel pit and another alleged incident in Akron involving a woman who was 9 months pregnant. Charges were filed, and in January of 1977, Sapharas, then 32, and managing his parents' restaurant, was found guilty of sexual assault and carrying concealed weapon. Before sentencing, prosecutors said psychiatric exams showed Sapharas was neither mentally deficient nor psychotic, but concluded Sapharas is seriously psychologically disturbed. A judge sentenced Sapharas between 15 and 60 years in prison. He was paroled only 13 years later. I mean, Jesus. If there's anybody out there that you want to go to the upper end, that would have been the guy. In November of 1990. By then, his family's Akron restaurant had closed, and Sapharas' sister had married a psychiatrist and had a home in Genoa Township near Westville, a suburb north Columbus. Sapharas, now in his mid-40s, apparently aimed to settle nearby. Trouble followed, however. The body of Bonita Parker, 21, who lived in the Short North neighborhood of Columbus, was found dumped on a road in Licking County on August 12, 1991. She died from a single stab wound to the heart. Investigators searched for witnesses, man, that sounds just like him, who may have seen her get into a car in the Short North where she lived with her mother and sometimes worked as a prostitute. But there were no arrests. 18 days after Parker's body was discovered a few miles away, police called to his sister's home where Sapharas was staying while she and her husband were on vacation. Neighbors called after seeing a frantic woman struggling outside. Oh my God. So his sister and husband, who's a psychiatrist, were out of town. And then somebody saw, so now Sapharas is by himself there, sort of like Rex Huerman when his wife and daughter leaves. Neighbors called after seeing a frantic woman struggle outside with a man, both covered in blood, just like the other one. There they found a woman with a long history of prostitution from the Short North. The woman, so he probably switched over to sex workers. The woman, and they would get into his car where now nobody's... This guy is like the classic serial killer, evolution, everything. The woman who lost so much blood she needed a transfusion told police Sapharas sexually assaulted and tried to kill her. She said it started when Sapharas stopped her the night before on the street near the Ohio State University and asked her if she wanted to party. She got into his car and dozed off as he drove. When she woke up, she was at the Genoa Township home with Sapharas, who was strangling her, the woman told police. Sapharas then forced her into the house, she said, where he sexually assaulted her and stabbed her in the chest. He does that. See, that's what I'm saying. Luis Oberholtz has every single one of these things. Okay? Every single one of these things that they're talking about. Yeah, I think we still need 5 channel memberships. We'll get right to the, just sort of like a normal night. That'd be sweet. Let's see. So then, Sapharas then forced her into the house, she said, where he sexually assaulted her. The woman told police she broke free from Sapharas, grabbed a knife from the kitchen sink, and stabbed him before running outside screaming for help as he chased after her. Sapharas told police a different story. He conceded he picked up the woman in the Short North and offered to pay her $50 for sex after they had sex at the house. He said he refused to pay her, so the woman stabbed him. God, As Genoa Township police sorted out what happened, they learned that Sapharas was on parole for the Cuyahoga Falls sexual assault and required to attend Columbus group therapy sessions for sex offenders. The man who ran the therapy group told police he believes Sapharas still harbors anger towards women, and feels insecure about himself. Genoa Township police tried several times to contact the injured woman after she was released from the hospital, but she didn't talk to them. It's not clear if investigators at the time considered whether the Genoa Township case could be tied to the homicide in Licking County, because both involve stabbings and women from Short North who sometimes worked as prostitutes. Regarding no charges were filed. Regardless, no charges were filed, but the Genoa Township incident did trigger the revocation of Sapharas' parole from the 1976 Cuyahoga Falls sexual assault. Sapharas, who was freed on parole November 1990, went back to prison in October of 1991, where he remained until September of 2000. So him breaking parole, he got 9 more years, which is, only 4 years less than that sentence he got originally. Went back, so he went back in 1991. Then he remained there until September of 2000, when he was in his mid-50s. While he was incarcerated, both his mother and father died, and the United States started changing laws to publicly identify and track sexual offenders like him. Let's see. Labeled sex offender. A Summit County judge labeled Sapharas a sexual offender in October of 1999. And when he was released from prison 11 months later, he was required to register with local authorities. It's not clear where Sapharas settled, but he lived near the University of Cincinnati for a while, picking up traffic tickets there in 2009 and 2011, before later moving to Stark County, where he worked at a now defunct Ponderosa Steakhouse. A former co-worker said Sapharas made female colleagues uncomfortable, and that some of the other women often asked to be walked to their cars as Sapharas was working. In 2015, 24 years after Bonita Parker's body was dumped in Licking County, the sheriff's department there reopened the case, hoping that DNA technology might yield new clues. They discovered Sapharas' DNA under Parker's fingernails. Oh, jeez. On her pantyhose and her underwear. That's that one, the first sex worker that had the stab wound. In March of 2016, detectives questioned Sapharas about Parker's death. He admitted having sex with Parker, but nothing more. 11 months later, they charged him with Parker's murder. Sapharas went to trial in Licking County in 2018. Under Ohio law, prosecutors couldn't tell jurors about his criminal history, including the sexual assault and stabbing of other women. I think that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. North 18 after, and then it says, it took the jury about 45 minutes to acquit Sapharas. Jeez. That's just sick. They're probably just like, well, he was just somebody else that had sex with her. No, he killed her exactly the same way. What a stupid law. That guy would have been convicted of that. He then returned to Stark County, where he lived until this month. This is 2019. When police arrested him in the cold case murders of Bentz and Davis in Summit County. Authorities are investigating whether he could be linked to other unsolved sexual assaults and murders. Sapharas, now 75, is scheduled to be arraigned on Monday and could hold the key to mysteries and the key to mysteries and heartbreak that have haunted Greater Akron for nearly 50 years. That's crazy. Are you guys following along here? Can we do it, you guys? We need 5 or 6 more channel memberships. And we've had very few individuals tonight. So if you're out there, even $5 counts as a channel membership. So we're just trying to reach the goals, you guys. Got today, we got tomorrow, and then we got our donation night. So let's see if we can get there. Now let me just do this part up here. 1970, he was sentenced to 2 years probation for a May 1969 incident. See that? So 69, that was the one that we talked about. 67 was Louise Oberholtz. I guess we went through all this already. Yeah, let's see. What's this one right here? Yeah, so that's him right there. See that guy? He looked different back then, though. That's what he looked like back in the day, 1970 something. See that? Thank you, Christine. There's one of them. Let's see. So 1970, Gustav Sapharas is sentenced to 2 years probation for the May 1969 incident. 1972, a West Virginia jury deadlocked in a mistrial. This guy got lucky as hell, too. Hey, thanks so much there, Lisa Giardina. Thanks, Gray and Moderators, for the time you put into keeping us in the loop. Don't let the trolls distract you.
Don't let the trolls distract you.
Yeah, well, they seem to. Yeah, May 1975, we did that one. He looks like a, you know, he looks like an Oompa Loompa, you know? All right. Well, guess what, you guys? There's another one. Hold on a second. So you guys remember Janice Christensen, right? That's a case that we covered years ago. And then they arrested Thomas Jordan. And I don't know, man. I mean, now we revisit this one. Could this person be the one who killed Louise Oberholtz? You know, the body of Cuyahoga Falls woman, apparently stabbed to death while jogging in Akron. I mean, here we are in Akron again. This is 1987. Metropolitan Park in Hudson Township was found by her husband Tuesday morning in a bushy area. Officials believe the victim may have been sexually assaulted before she was killed. The partially clothed body of Janice Christensen, 31, of Quick Road was found by her husband Kenneth at about 6:30 a.m. in underbrush off the Parks Hike and Bike Trail, where Miss Christensen often jogged with her dog Wolf. The secluded trail is east of Ohio 8 and south. We've gone over this one, like I've showed you. You know. I think I have it right. Christensen. The heck is it? Yeah, it's right there. Yeah, so this is, I mean, it's a different location, but Akron, you know. So this is where her car was found way over here, but her body was found, so that person just dumped the car over there. And she was found right on the side of this little hiking road here. But again, look how close this is to the rest of these yellow pins. Miss Christensen was reported missing by her husband at 5:45 p.m. Monday after he returned home from work. Cuyahoga Falls Police Detective Gary Ma said police were able to account for Miss Christensen's whereabouts until 9:30 a.m. Monday, when she failed to show up for an appointment. Falls police are aiding in the investigation because Mrs. Christensen lived in that city. Her car, an orange 1983 Toyota Tercel with license plate number 866NBY, which she drove to the park Monday morning, could not be found. So they did find it, though. A Summit County coroner spokesman said late Tuesday that an autopsy showed that Miss Christensen died from multiple stab wounds. This one's similar, too. And that's her right there. Really strong woman. And she had this dog. I guess the dog didn't do anything. That's what the trail looked like back then. Doesn't quite look the same now. Let's see. This one's police are investigating a possible link between the stabbing death Monday, So this is interesting. Of Janice Christensen, 31, of Cuyahoga Falls, and a similar attack on a 17-year-old Falls girl in May. So that her name isn't mentioned, but there was another attack. That person lived. Mrs. Christensen of Quick Road was stabbed to death early Monday morning as she jogged along a portion of the Akron Metropolitan Park District bike and hike trail in Hudson Township. Police said, adding that preliminary evidence shows she was probably sexually assaulted before she was killed. Cuyahoga Falls Police Detective Gary Moss said Wednesday night that police are looking at similar incident in May in which the 17-year-old Falls girl was sexually assaulted at knife point. And, you know, again, that's so weird how similar this guy is to Gustav, right? A secluded path on the Akron Metropolitan Park District. So it's very similar. This 17-year-old was on a secluded path. We are looking at these as possibly being related. This girl was not murdered because she gave the knife the respect the attacker intended. She gave the knife the respect the attacker intended. I see. She did what he wanted, where Christensen fought back. It's just standard comparison of cases. Ladies in a public area that was deserted at the time, both grabbed by someone with a knife. There is a similarity, and it's just standard police procedure. Moss said the 17-year-old provided police with a description that was used to make a composite sketch of the assailant. Police said the victim gave the description of her assailant, white, 55 to 60 years old. I mean, that's very old. I mean, you're talking night. So this person was like... So in 87, I mean, this person was like 29 years old or so when, again, Louise Oberholtz was killed. We're hoping, I tell you what though, Gustav really matches well, but we're hoping the sketch will help us turn up something, said Moss. Falls police are aiding in the investigation because Miss Christensen lived in the city. All right, let me just go to this last one. And that's the sketch right there. Link sought in May, assault Monday slang. So this is the same thing. He said 20 Rangers patrol the Akron Metropolitan System, but he said no one on Monday patrolled the secluded trail east of Ohio 8 and south Streetsboro Road, about a quarter mile north of Barlow Road, where Miss Christensen's body was found. We do a good job, but sometimes we can't patrol every single spot. Right. And so the surviving 17-year-old drew this picture. Well, this isn't very similar to who? Oh, did Gustafsson? No, it's Gustav. I mean, he kind of does look like Gustav, but that's not... Let me see. Yeah, so this is the actual document. Kidnapping. It says suspect grabbed the victim in a headlock and dragged her off the trail to a wooded area, threatened to kill her with a small knife if she yelled. There, the victim was assaulted by the suspect described. He did bind her wrists with shoelaces prior to the assault, and then bound her ankles after he assaulted her a second time. The ankles were also bound with a similar shoelace. Suspect did take her purse, but it was later found in the area. And so this is what the, probably using one of those things where you... But it's a really good sketch because that's not the same person. That's not Gustav. Okay, because watch this. Just a second. So, Akron Beacon Journal. Investigators used DNA to solve murder from 1987. Janice Christensen. Detectives thought there was a link between the assault of a teenage girl and the murder of a young woman within months of each other in 1987. Both victims were attacked on a walking trail in Summit County, bound by shoelaces and sexually assaulted by a man with a knife. The detectives were right, and that connection proved to be... See, isn't that crazy? I just read you the article where they made the connection in 87, and now this article is from 2024. The detectives were right, and that connection proved to be the key to solving these two cases 37 years later. And then it says, through a process that included DNA testing and an exhumation, investigators determined that Thomas Collier Jordan was responsible for the sexual assault and slaying of Janice Christensen, 31, in August of 1987. So the thing is in 2024, this Jordan guy is 83 years old. So in 67, he is way, he's old at that point. He's like 29 years old. So this guy could have done Louise Oberholtz as well, right? I mean, this guy it's similar. Although I have to admit, the other ones sound more similar. The body sort of dumped, clothing items found, the stabbing. But who knows, Christensen's slaying was the first case featured in Unresolved Collaboration of the Beacon Journal and the Ohio Mysteries podcast. Christensen's case got another look at some point, and then it turns out the DNA was the same. Christensen is slain while on a morning run. The break in the Blatnick case prompted Hudson detectives to dust off the Christensen file. They hoped some of the same technique might be used to identify a suspect in her case. The detectives reached out in June 2020 to the state's cold case unit, which was started with the goal of helping local law enforcement. Unit helped, let's see, Hudson Detective Brian Kozel told Beacon Journal reporters in early 2021 that no one had been ruled out as a suspect, including the man who assaulted 17-year-old Pewitt Howard, but was never identified. So they actually had the DNA, but just couldn't identify that person. But then genetic genealogy did it. Or at least it was in... Let's see, how the case were tied together. The cold case unit in the state crime lab did 2 rounds of DNA testing in the Christensen case, but got no results. Investigators developed a full DNA profile with DNA from Pewitt Howard's case, that's the 17-year-old, and submitted it to the FBI Combined DNA Index database, or CODIS. The DNA matched the profile of Jordan. So Jordan was in CODIS. And there you go. Okay, so that's how they did it. They didn't use forensic genealogy. They just used CODIS. In April, investigators exhumed Jordan's body from an Arizona grave to obtain DNA. Testing confirmed a link between Jordan and Christensen and Pewitt Howard's case, according to the Attorney General's office. Investigators found that Jordan, who was born in Cleveland in 1926. That's crazy. How could he have been born in 1926 if he's... I think it's supposed to be 40. Let's see. Or was he 87 at the time? I don't understand that. So if he was 83 in 2009. Okay. So he died in 2009 in Yuma, Arizona at the age of 83. So that means you have to add 15 years since this article is 2024. So he'd be 98. So, man, he would have been born. So that means at the time that Louise Oberholtz was killed, hell, he was... how old would he be? Was it 1926? So, 40 years, 41 years old. So he easily could have been that guy. But I think it's, Gustav seems like a better match. Sentenced to prison in 1959. Convicted of sexual assault. So he was in prison. Look at that. Grand larceny in 59. Convicted of burglary in 61. Convicted of malicious entry 72. Convicted of sexual assault, stabbing, and burglary in 1976. And he was kept in prison until 1985, and then 2 years after he got out. So he was available to have done that in 67, for sure. Yeah, so let me see. I made a couple look at these images. So that's him at that time. Look how good that sketch is. So he must have worn glasses, but look at it. He even had the mustache right there. The huge forehead with the hair and everything. So that was a pretty good sketch. Got to give that sketch some credit. And that's what he looked like before he died. Yeah. Well, anyways, it just keeps going through the same thing. But so I think it's more likely the Gustav person, but you know that person could have easily done it too. Because look where he lives. Let me get to this stuff. I wanted to show you that. Yeah. So I mean, Gustav lived here. So you can't write it off too quick, Lisa V. Look where Gustav lived here. I mean, I was just telling you that earlier. That's where Gustav lived, right? So let's go to the other guy, too. I think I have where he lived. Let's see, Thomas Jordan. I don't know if I have. Yeah, so Gustav is, you know, I mean, look where he lives. And all of these are the ones we went over, including Luis Oberholtz. I would, if I was betting, I would throw him in there. But let me see if I can find. I'm not sure if I did that. Let me see if I can look him up really quick and see where he lived. Thomas Jordan. And he'd be 100 and something, right? Let's see if we got anybody. Does he have a middle name? Oh, Thomas C. Jordan Collier. Come on. What is it? Jordan. Let's see, Jordan. So how old would he be? 100 and... So he was born in... Was it 20... He'd be like 99, right? He was 87, or was it 83? I can't remember now. Maybe 96. Let's see. Maybe that's the one. He died in 2009, right? Or is he still alive? I don't know. Can't find it. Do you live anywhere near? Huh? Just get rid of the troll. You guys, you know this is just somebody who created a name. What do you think what do you think the odds of that are? Come on. This is just the same person who was listening, and another troll with 1,000 accounts. Come on. There's no way. That just, there's happened to be somebody with that name in here. Let's see. I don't know if he is or not. Why is he here right when we're talking about the person? How do we know? Seems like I've seen that name in here before, though. Thomas Collier Jordan. Is that your middle name? What are the odds that somebody would just have that? That's crazy. It's not even a common name. Hey, we didn't get the 2 extra. That's all I got, you guys. But if you guys can do 2 channel membership gifting, we'll get right to that number. Wow, I've had a serial killer watching me for years? That's crazy. I don't think so. No, he couldn't have commented. I'm looking up here. He didn't comment before the name came up. He started chatting about like 20 minutes ago. There's no way. Are you kidding me? We got an actual Thomas. The killer's name is the name similar to a guy watching. Who's going to do it, you guys? We need 2 channel memberships or just 2 $5 to reach the number. Can we do it? Yeah, we don't hold the name against you. Because, let's see. Oh, we did get a coffee from... Hey, maybe we'll just... Lisa Valenzuela's got me basically 2 coffees. We'll just count that. Alright. Poor Thomas Jordan. Look, you even have a C at the end of your... Those 3 little digits at the end there. Hey, thank you very much, Phyllis Watson. Yeah, whatever happened to Ted Bundy, by the way? You guys scared him off, I guess. He was always buying coffees. Well, what do you guys think, though? Wasn't that interesting, though? All of that? Like, just, you know, start off with that one story. There's this lady, 1967... who, you know, Louise Oberholtz, who's just sort of found. It could be that she went out to a bar. She said she was going to her mother and dad's house, but then she's just found there, and then that's it. But then the Gustav murders and his whole history, and he lives right in the center of all this, and he was 22 years old at the time. And even at 24 years old, he was charged with some stuff similarly. So I bet you that Gustav is connected to her. That's what I think. It's okay, Thomas Jordan. Don't worry about it. That's pretty weird, though. That is something a troll would do. I've seen your name before. It didn't register. Oh, you think so? He did seem to be doing that. Always trying to get somebody to message. Well, anyways, wasn't that cool doing an old school show, basically? Went through an entire, just 5 different people, or 2 different killers, and 5 women. Maybe 6. So, anyways, thank you guys for hanging out and watching it. Maybe we could do more of those again. I actually think it's interesting. You know, I don't get very big crowds whenever I do that, but we haven't had big crowds anyways, because you basically get canceled by people if you don't believe Candace Owens is the greatest person in the world. I think she's a pile of shit, to be honest with you. You know, what she's been doing, disgusting. Anyways, let's see, what do we got here? Used to like her, though. So thank you to Sandy Shirley. And then we had Lexic, or Lexic 9 something. Christine, and then Jeffrey Sedal. Christine again, and then Lisa Belson gifted 10 memberships. Thank you. And Chris O'Connell, then Jeffrey Sedal, Shamo. You ever seen that one insurance commercial? Doesn't it just drive you nuts? Where there's like, what is it? It's some insurance company for older people that gets you a better deal. And then that one lady's talking to that older guy, and she goes, "Remember, my name is Sham." And he goes, "Thanks, Sham." And then Sham comes out later and meets him in person. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? This is crazy. Not only that, you took a person with the name Sham. Would anybody want to sign up to with an insurance company with somebody named Sham talking to you? I don't think so. Let's see. Okay, we got Stargazer Lily, then Chris O'Connell gifted 5. Both of them did. And then, let's see, Mary Mellon. Lisa Belson gifted 5, then Chris O'Connell, then Shamo again, and Stargazer. Phyllis Watson gifted 5, then Christine gifted 1, then Lisa Giardine Nola, and then Phyllis. So not a ton of people, but thank you. You guys remember what I was talking about? Because nobody even replied to what I just said. Did you see the commercial with the older couple trying to get lower insurance costs? And then one of them says, like the lady that was helping him says, "Remember, my name is Sham." And he's like, "Oh, hey, Sham. And then later he goes, "Hey, come on out, Sham." And they like, what? Who gives a... Would you really want to, like, it was just weird. It was almost like they donated a kidney or something. It's crazy. Why not? They're on television. It's usually on Fox News or something. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see. The commercial. The insurance commercial with Sham helping older couple. Insurance commercial featuring Sham helping an older couple is most likely the one for the general insurance start. No, that's not it. Let's see. Let's see. It's like Medicare commercial. Oh yeah, that one. Let's see. Inside politics. Where does it say that? It's right here. It says, I can go on vacation. It says, you're so helpful. You don't know. I'm excited. You, sir. Again, my name is Sham. If you have any other questions, give me a ring. Thank you very much. Oh my God, that was super easy. Oh, see how your Medicare plan stacks up with the biggest changes in 2026? Just call this number or get started at, where the hell is that commercial? Right here, this one. You've seen this guy, right?
On out.
Oh my goodness!
It's a pleasure to meet you today, sir. What does it feel like to be face to face?
You helped me out quite a bit.
Wow. So Sham comes out from behind the scenes. That's crazy. Like they just got on their computers and she was helping. Forget it, man. If you haven't seen it, it doesn't mean anything. My name is Sham. And you aren't going to get you weren't going to get a damn thing out of that. Hey, let me turn off the roads here for a second. Here, look at. Here's where Gustafsson lived early on. And let's just go like this. Watch this. So that encompasses every single one of those cases, other than there was a body found over here. And like Loretta, Kathy. That's just, that's where she was found. So, but look at that right there. That's only a 5-mile radius in every one of these, and he's right in the middle. But I guess if you wanted to stretch it out to the furthest reaches there, if you go right where Gustav lived to there, that's only 7.25 miles. I guess at 8 if you want to throw that one in there. But that's just a bar. And that was her favorite bar. Loretta's was up there. I didn't put that in there. But I think Gustav is the guy. How do you know how I drive, Lanky Tor? All right, anyways, thanks everybody. I really appreciate it. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Sorry about the later show, but hey, you know what? Why not, right? That was pretty cool. Thank you guys for your generosity, supporting the channel. Especially on a night when we're just reading through a bunch of newspaper articles. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow, our last normal day of the month. And then on Halloween night, maybe we'll have to do a StreamYard, and you guys can sign up, come on and be ghosts and goblins. All right, but anyways, thanks everybody. We'll see you guys later. Hope you found that interesting. I thought it was interesting. I would bet money Gustav is the killer of Louise Oberholtz. I would bet money on that. It matches absolutely perfectly. Same MO, everything. Dump the body. Knife wound to the chest, into the heart, and other cuts too. Especially those shallow cuts, the ones that he did to one of the other victims. Makes sense. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here. We'll see you tomorrow. And as I always say, until next time. Hey, thank you, Gates McCrary, right at the buzzer there. Very cool. Thank you so much. I always feel weird when I'm ending the show right when somebody sends in a super chat. But Thank you, Gates. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time,
Yeah, same
I have
scenario
not seen
on all
one
of them.
person.
It's the same.
That is a crime dissector.
Fuck rejector, I'm a certified human lie detector. I'm gonna get you on a stretcher.
If you try and play me like an
Oh,
old
projector, conceptor is my nectar. First degree is gonna
give another
lecture. Crime collector, freak collector, and I'm always gonna be a
pup protector, fool deflector,
interceptor. And I mean a little specter with a vector.
on his pector, with all respect, y'all.
Just remember,
I have a temper fucking
rejection. I have no agenda. I never end up.
and I'll
Send it to you, say what I have up.
And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender. Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. All right, everybody? Talk to you later.